All right, hey everyone, this is Matt Lazaro, and today we're going to talk about magnesium. I consider magnesium one of the most underrated minerals, pretty much, period. And there's a huge reason for it. There is a reason why 50% of the population, actually probably more last I checked, is deficient in magnesium. It's estimated the average person gets about 200 milligrams in a day, which is not even close to what even the RDA requirements are. And RDA is recommended dosages, which is kind of like bare minimal, meaning you're barely getting a C, and that's about 400 milligrams a day. How they came up with a lot of these things, some of the numbers are arbitrary in my opinion, but that's a whole nother story. There's a difference between getting a C and getting an A, and I'm more interested in getting an A when it comes to my health and wellness. So we're going to talk about why magnesium is so important. But let's talk about why. Why are we so damn deficient, right? I mean, if over half the population is deficient, it has to tell you something. It might have something to do with your diet, right? So reason being is majority of, like I said, majority of the reasons why we are deficient is because of what we choose to eat. And the vast majority of foods that we consume as Americans is not rich in magnesium. It's really that simple. But to take it a step further, when we're really looking at these calorically dense foods, these processed foods, well, it just doesn't have very much of it in there. But when we do eat some of these foods that actually have magnesium in there in high amounts, which are kind of like oats and wheat, and a couple of other things like legumes and lentils, one of the problems is we don't absorb it. We have a very hard time absorbing it in certain aspects, especially in relation to wheat and oats, primarily because those are very, very high in something called phytic acid. And phytic acid actually inhibits the actual absorption of things like magnesium, amongst other minerals actually. So if you think about how many of you actually have oatmeal for breakfast, and maybe have it a few times a week or every day, or even eat and incorporate things like wheat into your diet, and wonder why certain aspects of your health have never really improved. You may not be gaining weight, but you may not feel the greatest. And energy is directly related to things like magnesium because it helps with the overall energy production with your mitochondria of your cells. So it promotes healthy cells. Magnesium is so important. It's responsible for nearly 300 biological functions in your body. I mean, that's quite a bit that we can actually identify. I'm sure there might even be more processes that we're not even aware of. But the bottom line is that, majority of the foods that we consume don't have enough magnesium. And then when we do eat magnesium, it's with foods that have things that prevent us from absorbing it. And then under certain circumstances, when you are getting magnesium, we have excretion problems. Basically, we get rid of too much of it. And that usually happens with people that have metabolic disorder or things like diabetes. One of the other prominent reasons why we have an absorption problem with magnesium is alcohol. Alcohol cuts out about 50% of that. And that's partially one of the reasons why you don't feel that great after drinking sometimes. Some of us may just be kind of used to it sometimes, right? But the bottom line is here's the thing. How do we get magnesium in adequate dosages in our diet? Well, number one, stop eating garbage. Stop eating crap food. Don't eat processed food. Don't eat processed carbohydrates. Well, when you reduce that, what are you supposed to eat? Well, magnesium in its richest, most bioavailable form is mostly found in vegetables. Chlorophyll, at the center of chlorophyll is magnesium, right? So we should probably eat it. It's its most bioavailable, which basically means it is utilized most efficiently in your body. So eat your vegetables. Your mother and your grandmother are always right about it. Maybe they didn't know exactly why. And it's not just because of magnesium. That is just a thing that we can observe as one of the most common issues that occurs when we have too much of one thing, not enough of another thing, right? Eat your vegetables. If you want to supplement it, hey, go for it. But the problem with supplementing magnesium in most cases, I would say, is the fact that it'll give you diarrhea. Too much magnesium will give you diarrhea. But if you're going to use magnesium, maybe get some magnesium citrate. It's dirt cheap, and don't start with more than 100 milligrams at a time. And preferably take it when you're home, just in case it creates a issue with your gut, basically. But aside from that, like I said, stop eating so shitty. Eat some more vegetables in your diet. And pretty much, if you need to supplement it, supplement it. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, this is not necessarily just about magnesium, but this is one of the causations of our lifestyle and the way that we choose to eat. And what I'm referring to is the fact that we just don't want to eat actual real food. So if there's any questions, let me know.